Well, cancel my reboot. It's the Krusty Fox. I'm back again for another episode of And Just Like Crap, a salty recap and review of freshly executed Sex and the City revival series And Just Like That. This week, Carrie discovers that she's got a little English in her, and not because she just got her 23andMe results back. So get your crash helmets on as we continue our descent towards what will now be the series finale, and let's get into it.
These nuts.
You might assume, considering how furiously Season 2 of And Just Like That tried to convince us that Carrie and Aiden were endgame, that last episode's emotionally explosive breakup would have far-reaching repercussions. But, like a dodgy seafood curry, that shit rocketed its way out of Ms. Bradshaw's system overnight. That's not entirely surprising, considering she has her vile debut novel to distract her. Or, more accurately, and like all of her other writing, having her personal life blow up faster than leaked celebrity nudes is actually fantastic fodder for a writer who has zero imagination. The woman of Carrie's untitled novel, you see, was also involved with a man who, get this, returned from war but died of a wound from a previous battle. Let's hope Aiden doesn't learn how to read by the time it's published. The real victim of this nothing burger plot is writing partner Duncan, a celebrated author who is so entranced by Carrie that he's blown away by such revolutionary narrative devices as repetition, and describes her as a fairy tale. Presumably one written by Hans Christian Andersen and based on him visiting Charles Dickens. Look it up. You won't regret it. Carrie whines to Seema that she has to protect her working relationship with Duncan because it's intellectual, whereas men usually only see her as sexy and cute. Are those men in the room with us now? Knock twice for yes. Yeah, didn't think so. This storyline seemingly comes to its conclusion on the night of a party thrown by Duncan's publisher, to which Carrie wears, I do have to say, a stunning Vivienne Westwood number. See, I'm willing to acknowledge her successes when she's not dressed like she's auditioning for Pirates of Penzance or just got kicked out of an assisted living facility. Despite her misgivings, Carrie decides to act on impulse and sleeps with Duncan, who reveals the cracking body he's been hiding under all of those dowdy outfits. He also reveals that he's not interested in anything long-term and in fact is going back to London forever, which is somehow still not the worst post-shag review that Carrie's ever received. Naturally, this immediately fuels more exploits for the woman in Carrie's novel, who ends this chapter repeatedly assuring herself that everything is wonderful. And, as we all know, saying something 3 times always makes it real. Buy my merch. Buy my merch. Buy my merch. Because we're never more than a few episodes away from someone's disgusting kids consuming their screen time, this week is Miranda's turn. She hosts a family dinner at which Brady reveals that he'd like to go to culinary school. Apparently, he's been bitten by the cooking bug while working at Steve's Crab Shack. And here I was, assuming it was lice. Cod turns out not to be the only thing Brady's been shoving into ovens, when he drops the bombshell that he knocked up a buddy he barely knows while drunk.
Shame.
I mean, it's not what I would consider good news, but both Miranda and Steve's reactions are suboptimal. Steve's is, at least, understandable. Blind post-traumatic rage that Brady has made exactly the same mistake he did that, ultimately, landed him with the mop-topped omni-shambles and lesbian ex-wife before him. Miranda, on the other hand, immediately tries to slut-shame the anonymous host of the Brady parasite, and decides she needs to take it on tour. That's how she ends up dragging Charlotte down to the salon which Mia, the incubator for her son's mutant ball bath, shampoos hair at for a bit of undercover subterfuge. Hagney and Gacy right again. Mia is, like most of this show's 20-something characters, designed at the atomic level to be the walking embodiment of the worst. She farts from her ass and shits from her mouth, explaining that she's creating a wellness app, only decided to keep the baby after realizing it'll be a double Libra, and even slips in a bit of "did you just assume my baby's gender?" She does, at least, take revenge on Miranda for her deception by hosing her down at the shampoo station. Joke's on her though. If there's one thing we learned from Carrie's Season 2 suppository sponsorship, it's that people of a certain age are never mad at the opportunity to get soaking wet. This week in Who Gives a Shit News? Well, I suppose the headline this week is the announcement that And Just Like That will end with this season's two-part finale, a move that everyone involved seems particularly keen not to call a cancellation. If this is the pace things move at when they supposedly know the end is coming, I'd hate to see how they'd react in the path of a speeding car. R.I.P. Anyway, Lisa's career is getting in the way of her responsibilities as a mother. Never clearer than in daughter Gabby's desperate attempt to get her attention by releasing her hamster, Shirley, into her bedroom, which leads to Lisa calling Gabby stupid. Harsh but fair, I'd say. Herbert's campaign for city comptroller ends in off-screen disaster when he loses the election despite being ahead in the polls. But then again, if you're gonna base your expectations on the political analysis of son Henry's tap-dancing ass, you probably shouldn't be in any position of power. Speaking of which, youngest Goldenblatt Rock has been cast as the lead in a school production of Thoroughly Modern Millie. I'd have assumed Victor Victoria, given AJLT's usual blunt force trauma approach to subtext. And to answer your question, yes, based on the trailers, we are going to be forced to watch it. Charlotte orders a pointless hallway renovation, just to remind us she's unrelatably wealthy. She also undertakes a psychic energy cleanse over Zoom to deal with her trauma from Harry's cancer treatment. Therapy exists. Just saying. And Seema pushes boyfriend Adam's mother out of a window, but avoids a first-degree murder charge because it's just a plant that represents his already long-dead mother. So he's relaxed about her horticultural homicide. Perhaps in addition to using crystals for hygiene, he also has some nice calming amethyst rammed up his grunt hole. Anthony and Giuseppe are interrupted mid-coitus this week by a fireman, who is there to see about some pipes, but disappointingly not in the adult film way. Instead, they're forced to evacuate to Giuseppe's apartment by a neighbour's gas line puncturing antics. A couple of things. First of all, watch the start of the scene in question. What exactly is supposed to feel good there? From that angle, the only thing he's topping is the mattress. Next, Anthony doesn't know who Giuseppe lives with. The writers of this show have a serious problem with their exposition. Just because they haven't written it before doesn't mean the characters won't have discussed it before. Come on, guys. Anywho, the sole roommate of the Italian stallion is Andrew, an ancient puppeteer who has created a spectacularly creepy mannequin of Giuseppe himself. All of which is probably just to allow Anthony to make his admittedly funny Geppetto joke. Although, an old man who works on a young boy's wood. You might want to leave that one alone, Tony. Giuseppe, however, is unfazed, largely due to Andrew's insistence that he's asexual and therefore the show seems to think no threat. It is remarkable how many shows get this wrong, because asexual does not mean aromantic. And as anybody who's been in as many dog shit relationships as I have will tell you, bonking is far from the only possible cause of a happy never after. Not that it matters, because Giuseppe discovers that, just like his marionettes, something of Andrew's grows when he lies too, and that he is a prolific puppet molester. With the door open, no less. If nothing else, you've got to admire the literally balls-out confidence. This enjoyable little diversion is in service of getting Giuseppe to accept Anthony's offer to move in with him, which he does by episode's end. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got to go interfere with some well-endowed puppets. Ciao! This video's question is, how do you want Carrie to end the series? Chase after Duncan? Reconcile with Aiden? Or discover the real love of her life, becoming the world's worst novelist? Let me know in the comments below, and the best will repeat itself 3 times in the next video. Either way, thanks for watching, don't forget to like and subscribe, and as ever, if you can't be good, be crusty.